Greetings out there to Roll Tide and Roll Tide Nation only. We're back. Another episode of The Elephant in the Room podcast. I am with my guys, Dre Davis and my brother, same mother, Cornelius Finnison. And how we feeling this week? A little bit better. A lot of execution. How we feeling this week? I know we had a guy in attendance at the game last night. How's everything going today? How we feel about the team moving forward? I know a lot of fans still want to see the team go against a better opponent. But I, for one, stand on the side that we don't really have that luxury by shooting ourselves in the foot in the first game, per se. So we need to treat every opponent like it's the best team in the world. So that's the way I look at it. So we just need to execute and build off this. So, but what are you guys thinking as far as the bright spots from last night?
The biggest thing I was proud of last night was that we threw the ball very well. We threw the ball, I think, 30 times, and the ball only touched the ground or didn't get caught 4 times. And of those 4 times that it didn't get caught or touch the ground, it was by either my backups, which inexperienced timing, or just under or overthrows that you wouldn't see with the first group. And that's kind of the difference in yesterday. Execution was at a high level from start to finish on both sides of the ball, especially offensively. I felt like Ty had a lot of times. I felt like last week in the first half, Ty had a lot of time to go through his reads. And I felt like that's what we saw a lot throughout the game yesterday. Ty having time to go through his reads opens up stuff as from what I saw in attendance, we rely more on athleticism than actual play calling to score touchdowns. There was a lot of plays that were 1 or 2 yard throws that ended up being touchdowns. So not as much, deep down the field, other than one amazing throw that got called back, but nothing really deep down the field. Ran the ball with a lot of different guys, ran the ball pretty well. Like I said, other than that, defensively, they were sound throughout the game. So, and you put up a shutout, so you can't ask for much more than that.
From my standpoint, I'll start with the defense. Defensively, they came out with a lot of energy. Anytime you can shut a team out for a whole 60 minutes with your first, second, and third string, fourth, fifth string, that's a plus. They even caused a few turnovers. I think they had 2 fumbles, an interception. Seen some big hits from some other guys. For example, Drake Kirkpatrick Jr. He was laying the wood last night. Number 36, Mr. Reese, he was making plays as well. Offensively, they played with a lot more energy compared to last Saturday, especially Ty Simpson. I think now that he has that second start under his belt, he's starting to get more comfortable. And to go out on the football field and go perfect 17 of 17, that's very impressive. Even though the competition was UL Monroe, just the fact of being able to be perfect in that aspect, that it sells a lot. Kevin Bernard, he's a clear-cut wide receiver number 1 right now. Another guy to look out for, in my opinion, if he gets more time, Latzir Brooks. He kind of reminds you of Waddle at sometimes. Very quick. Once he gets the ball, he can make a few people miss and he can get upfield. The running backs, I think all of them played last night. Number 0, Deer, and number 28. Those guys, they can run the ball as well as the others.
28 would be Kevin Riley. I guess I'll go up front with the offensive line. As we see, they got both sides of the line last week, as we know, got bullied around, pushed around like there was nothing this week. Not nothing. Like I said, I don't really care about, at this point, I don't care who the opponent is, whether it's Prattville Christian Academy or the Philadelphia Eagles or Kansas City Chiefs. We need to treat every opponent like it's the best team in the world. So as far as the offensive line and defensive line, they dictated how the game was played. We were able to get good pushes up front, and I was okay with some games didn't go for maybe no more than 3-4 yards, but that is okay. The chains was moving in the right directions as far as the offensive line, because we seen last week with the right and left tackle play from Formby and Proctor was just like Ty didn't have a chance to get anything off, and then we go fast forward to this week. We get Ty Simpson able to stand and deliver in the pocket, step up in the pocket how he wants to, and deliver some passes. As you said, the 17-17. I mean, but we've had plenty of guys, plenty of great quarterbacks that came through this school. Tua, Bryce Young, Mac Jones. They never did that against a lesser opponent either. So for him to even do that, still in only his second start is even more impressive. It was a lot of complimentary football as well. A lot of questions still need answer, but a lot of questions still got answered last night as well. It transitioned over to the defensive side of the ball. The defensive line still need to be able to contain a little bit better, but overall, it was all good. I know that one play when the quarterback looked like he was about to know where to go with the ball, then he found somebody downfield. That was a catch too, in my opinion. I don't know how it got called as a non-catch, but I felt like that was a catch. But I think, when the play breaks down, I think we just need to be able to contain, like we just overshooting the gaps a lot as far as the defensive pass rush goes. The linebacker play, it was okay. Still needs work. It was okay last night. Like Lawson is still even as a fifth-year senior, Lawson is a big question mark right now. Like what's going on with Lawson? The secondary was one of the many bright spots of last week, carrying over to this week. The secondary, as you mentioned, with Drake Kirkpatrick Jr., I think he needs to see the field a little bit more because he's bringing that energy and that fire that we need, even as a defensive back or even in a game where the game is already out of hand. You still want to keep up that intensity because that's one of the things that Coach Saban preached. Being up by so much, you still want to keep your intensity up and not just be out there just going through the motions all because you're up by you have it 52-0 or something like that. So that's one of those things that I am more proud of moving into the next game, something to build upon. Like I said, a lot of fans want to see. I want to see how we look against Georgia or no. We need, like I was saying pre-show and earlier in the intro, we need to treat every opponent as if they are the best team in the country, no matter who we playing. So it's just, can we keep this momentum going? I think we can. Like I said, I'm proud of a lot of things, and I like the fact that we stuck to a game plan. We didn't just try to go out here and run stuff that you wouldn't run against a more superior opponent. You thought we could just call anything we want to because we're playing against a team that, just came in here collecting a paycheck. Nah, still run your system, what you like to run, and execute it to perfection. Everything got executed well last night, as Dre mentioned with the passing game, like the ball not touching the ground outside of 4 incompletions. I will say the future's bright as far as the quarterback with Keelan Russell. I know he might not get as many reps, which is a good thing. Like we don't want to burn his red shirt year, barring anything drastic happening. So that's one thing we need to look out for. Austin Mack has some zip on the ball, but I just think he needs to calm that down a little bit. Like every pass ain't just got to be a heat missile, a fastball. The running game, Kevin Riley looks like a mini version of a Jam Miller. AK Deer provided like that Kenyon Drake, make a guy miss and then he's out of there. I like that. And Daniel Hill I think he's one of those north-south guys as well as a Richard Young. Richard Young just needs to get better with his pass blocking and he'll see the field more. But he did do a good job picking up a blitz when Ty Simpson standing and delivered in the pocket and threw a touchdown. And that's pretty much all I got. I don't want to get into any early predictions about the Wisconsin game because we'll say that for a later date. But moving forward, do we think the Alabama Crimson Tide can at least match this intensity against any opponent on the remaining schedule for the rest of the season?
Well, they need to focus on Wisconsin. And the reason why I say that, once you play Wisconsin, if I'm not mistaken, you got a bye week. Then once after that bye week, you face Georgia. So this game coming up is just as important as the Florida State and last week's game because now you came off a shutout win at home. Now you got to play Wisconsin going into the bye week to play Georgia. Can you keep up that intensity and go into the bye week with the momentum and preparation for Georgia? So this week here is very important in my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, ideally you're going to match the intensity, if not bring the intensity as the year goes on. You get what you get out of a tune-up game. We've all played in tune-up games. We know how it feels to play in that game where everybody plays. You expect it to win by 40, and you know that there's no real intensity in that game. Uh, versus that week 8, week 9 game where you're in a 7-3 game in the third quarter and you got to make some plays. Practices are a little different those weeks. Meetings are a little more intense that week. So, I don't think to compare these first 2 weeks, you have no real intensity that you can bring into an opening game with a bunch of guys that have not been in that situation before. And then you have a home game where there's no expectation, but you completely blow the expectations out. 11 o'clock in the morning is a very tricky third game to play because now you have to reset these guys' mind from 2:30 on the road to open the season, 7 o'clock at night at home after just chilling all day, to being right back locked in today to get ready for 11 o'clock next week. Um, like Finn said, you get a bye week after this, and then you got to go to Georgia. And again, you know, these first 5 weeks are so tricky. After week 5, it gets intense every week. And I think after that, you see a different Alabama team. But these first 5 weeks are tricky. There's something different about each of these weeks that are really going to, put this team to the test early, and it might end up paying off in the end.
Okay. I don't really got too much to say on that. I pretty much agree with everything that y'all laid out. And another thing I saw as well, a lot of fans were unpleasant with Kalen DeBoer inserting Austin Mack early into the game when Alabama was up 28-0, kind of taking reps from a guy in Todd Simpson that still kind of needs to see some reps. Did you guys see any problem with that? Because I, for one, I brought it back to the Tua/Jalen situation. I mean, I know Tua did what he did in the championship game versus Georgia, but Tua didn't have that many starts as well, and then we still slid Jalen in the situation. And I had to remind some people, like, when Tua was the starter, Jalen still came in when the score was 21-0, 28-0, wherever you may have it. So did you guys see any issue with Austin Mack coming in and get some reps early in the second quarter?
Did they say why it happened?
I don't really think it's that big of I don't think there was no reasoning behind it, honestly. I just think they
So
just wanted to see.
it might have been something internal that happened, or they just wanted to see. Because we all know we've all played football. The score was 28-0.
That game was
Okay.
comfortably in half.
They probably thought about pulling Todd Simpson. Okay, let's put Austin Mack in and let's just put him in this situation since we up, how he's going to respond to it. So that might have been some internal that they were doing that they had already planned during the week. So I didn't see that.
Yeah, I'm the same. I mean, 28, even at 28-0, that game was comfortably in hand. So, that's definitely a situation where, as a football development purist, where you see an opportunity to use a guy that you don't think that you'll have to use this year, but Austin Mack may be a guy that we have to go to at some point in this year. You know, 28-0, there's probably not going to be another situation other than that situation where he's in like that. But if he's in a more intense situation, at least he's went against somebody else's ones to compare to. He gets to go home today and watch critical film for him, to see how he looked against the ones versus the twos. That's something that's more important than, uh, and I hate to say it like this, that's more important than getting top more reps in a game, like in a throwaway game like that. He played perfect. And I know that's like just on paper, but he almost literally played perfect. So with that being said, I think if anybody's that critical that we went with Mac earlier than we had to, then that's just their problem, to be honest.
Okay, yeah, because like I said, I for one, like we saw what we saw out of Jalen for 2 years. Like we already know like who Jalen is, and he still gets the chance to come in as far as to still get reps. Like I said, to still get reps in games with similar scores with Tua as the quarterback. So like that's why I was like, I don't really have a problem with it because we know, and they put it out. Ties the guy until shown otherwise. Ty had a good first game, a solid first game, had a way better second game. Given, what I'm saying, now he's about to step up a little bit back up in competition, going against a 2-0 football team in Wisconsin. This is not the Wisconsin that we've accustomed to see when they, relied on that offensive line and a heavy dosage of the run game from probably I'd just say the last 30 to 35 years of football that we've seen from them in the recent years. But this is still a team to not take lightly, as I've stated, and I'll keep saying, do not take any opponent lightly, no matter what. But the receiving core, Ryan Williams, as we know, was not out. Does that need to be some type of, I would say, does Ryan Williams kind of need to kind of earn his place back on the field per se, lack of better words, or because do guys or other guys still, or do other guys just need a more chance to shine, or we can take
No,
the latter?
no, I think it's just a blessing that we got the receiving core that we do. I think Brian solidified himself last year. If he's got to come back out and fight, that means somebody did something crazy yesterday, and nobody did anything crazy. They just played a great game. But Ryan, I think it'll come. We saw one game, and that's pretty
Yeah,
much it. If he had been a part of that game yesterday, we
yeah,
would be
broke
having a
some
different
records.
conversation. So,
Yeah.
um, but no, I don't think he needs to earn anything other than earning his way off TikTok and back into reality of wanting to be on the field.
Yeah. Fair assessment. Fair assessment. What about you, the receiver on the show? Well, we all are technically, but Mr. ASU, what is your assessment? I know like you named some guys earlier that got some good looks. This guy, chill
think
out, Dre.
think they need to get
He think
um some more reps, but it's really gonna come down to once SEC play start. Like whoever has the hot hand, you need to go with. Because right now you still got Wisconsin, then you go up to Georgia. So once you get started SEC play,
mm-hmm.
then you start going to okay, these are guys right here, and then if something happens with our guy, then we have someone who could come in and keep this train going.
My biggest question mark, honestly, it ain't even. I just want to know what are we gonna do as far as play calling? Like, are we gonna try to pass to set up the run? Or are we gonna try to run to set up the pass?
To be
Because
to be
because
honest, you won't know that until Jam Miller come back, because he
okay,
is your best receiving back.
okay,
So I think once he comes back, the offense will look different.
yeah. Because I think the Florida State game, it just seemed like outside of that first drive, it's just like we didn't want to. Guess we were just allergic to trying to move the ball on the ground. We just everything by air. Like, no, we just need a combination of both. We need the complementary, and we got that last night. A good doses of the running game and the passing game. So that's my biggest question moving forward. And as far can the defense, um, can we fill the gaps properly in the pass rush and then contain the run game as well? Because that's seen the Achilles heel with the defensive system is a lot of teams have gotten off as far as rushing the ball on us. So that's one of the big concerns moving forward as well. And then especially with Wisconsin, I haven't really looked up to them. They only played 2 games. I haven't really watched too much on them, but I will check them out to see like what is really their identity. Is it always, or or will they try to adjust like many teams did last season, just kind of switch their philosophy up
To the
and
new age
play to
philosophy.
Alabama's weaknesses as far as defensively, with not being able to contain a quarterback or not be able to stop the run. and try to push Alabama off the ball with their offensive line. So that is one of my biggest question marks this week. And as far as defensively goes, because I know, like I said, with the offense, just can we keep a healthy, balanced offense and defense? Can we win at the line of scrimmage on first and second downs to put the opposing offenses in those tricky third down situations to where it's an obvious passing down and send guys back in coverage or mix it in with a blitz. So yeah, those are my questions, and they'll get answered as the week goes. I don't know what questions that you guys may have if you want to just kind of lay that out. What you guys want to see?
I think the biggest thing that I want to see, again, right now, I want to see our secondary get challenged again, because what I want to see is as we face some better quarterbacks, we got to see Stockton, we got to see daggum, what's his name? His name's right there. We still got to see.
Diego.
We still got to see Diego. We
Lenore
still got to see
Sellers.
Sellers again. We still got to see Jackson Arnold. There's
Joey
another
Aguilar.
name. I'm not even thinking about Aguilar. There's a name.
Garrett Nessmeyer.
We got to see Garrett Nessmeyer at some point this year. And I think he's going to be the one that gives us some issues. I didn't really see in the last 2 weeks where it looked like our DBs have been challenged. We've seen our D-line, our linebackers be put to the test. We've seen our O-line be put to the test. Receivers seem like they're ready to make plays. Running backs, we got running backs by committee. Top, we know what to expect there. But I haven't seen anything yet out of the DBs that, like, do we have a lockdown secondary? Are we going to have to, get back healthy on the D line and have a push? What part of the defense is going to be the strongest is my question right now. So that's all I got.
Not in your head, man. But what you got, man?
My biggest question.
This guy, comedic relief. No, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
My biggest question is, can they keep up the intensity from yesterday? Even though you played UL Monroe, you went out and dominated. They seem pissed off, but can they remain pissed off the rest of this season in hopes to get to the college playoff and the national championship? So that's what I want to see. How are they going to respond now that you recovered from Florida State, you went out, beat the hell out of UL Monroe, now you got Wisconsin. Can you do the same thing each week? Can you go 1-0 from now until January? That's my biggest question.
I like that. Everything is pretty much do or die at this point. I like that. I like that feel, and I think the team kind of, even though it's like with the new 12-team playoff, I feel like the team needs to treat it as if it's still at a 4-team or even back in the BCS days. Hey man, you kind of played your way out of a spot to a BCS championship by losing. As they say, better to lose early than to lose late. But here goes nothing. Let the season unfold. And in a game yesterday, there was a lot of teams, I guess you could say, that struggled to beat,
FCS
the lesser teams. You had a Georgia 28-6 over Austin Peay, Louisiana Tech. LSU beats Louisiana Tech 23-7. South Carolina eventually pulls away late from South Carolina State. Even a Penn State, a championship contending team as well, 34-0 over FIU, but it was 13-0 at halftime, if I'm not mistaken. Upset Saturday. We always got to have an upset. At least, we had one, who we seen the upset last weekend, but upset this weekend, a team that you do not want to mess around with, a team that I felt if we played yesterday, I felt we would have lost as well. And one of our biggest rivals, the South Florida Bulls, knock off the Florida Gators. Now, I, for one, said Florida deserved to lose that game, especially down the stretch when it's 3rd and 8 and we're trying to throw up fade routes. And you should just be trying to play the field position game and kill the clock. But what is you guys' assessments from that game now that it's over?
We talked about it earlier in the week when the report came out. South Florida was without their star team quarterback, Byron Brown, for the first half of the game. Conduct detrimental to the team, did something stupid, whatever. I knew when they updated the line to 18.5 for Florida that Florida was in trouble because they were tricking them into thinking that, hey, like, y'all are gonna beat them by a mile. But we've seen South Florida fights; they really can compete with just about anybody. They have their shortcomings just like any other team, but they can compete a lot with tough teams. And we got away with some games when we played them that you were watching like this, trying to enjoy the game,
Yes.
but it was some hard games to
Yes.
watch. South Florida will continue to be tough this year. Don't be surprised to see them at the end of the season, possibly fighting for some type of last second playoff spot. Byron Brown, the offense, defense. That's a total team effort to go from the 305 up to Gainesville and to come away with the win by any means.
So y'all keep saying
I mean, I don't know why I
305.
said
They're in
305,
Tampa.
but
They're in
yeah,
Tampa. They are in Tampa. Yes, they are in
yeah.
Tampa.
I don't know why I
But
said South
still,
Florida, but yeah.
and they're actually not that far away from Gainesville. Now that
No,
I
they're
put
really
it that
not.
way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're less than an hour away. I don't know why I said that, but yeah. To go to skip over to the next town and walk away with a win and be able to just travel back and forth and go and remind them, hey, we just won over y'all. Like that's their city now. So, but a good win by South Florida. Disappointing loss for Billy Napier. That's they got some quarterback. They got some quarterback stuff they got to get
Nah.
figured out down there.
I don't know what's up with my guy Lagway, but I just looked at their next two games.
Yeah, they got a gut
I don't
coming up.
think Billy Napier makes it. If they lose those two games to LSU and Miami, Billy Napier does not make it out of that bye week because they got Texas out of that bye week. And Texas, they didn't look as that. Yeah, we still stick keeping it on Florida and South Florida, but me, when you, as we like to say in terms of, I'll take it to a situation like this: play with your food. When you sit and play with your food, this is what happens. Alabama was fortunate enough to, in 2 years ago when they played the first time out there in the rain, out there in Tampa in that monsoon, the defense kind of pretty much saved the day as we were with that quarterback situation that we had with the benching of Milrow and throwing that Buckner kid out there for, I don't know what we did that for.
He's
And
rolling the
Ty Simpson,
ball on the ground.
and Ty Simpson finally able to actually get in the game and get a shot. And he was one of the bright spots of that game because he seemed like the only one that'd be able to move the ball downfield with a struggle. And then we get last season, if Byron Brown was able to connect on a lot of those deep passes that he threw, then we might have been, that would have been our Florida's fate last night, would have been our fate last year against South Florida. So that's a tricky team. And there's a lot of people that don't know that South Florida, this used to be back in the day, this was a Big East school when the Big East was a thing, when they had West Virginia, Pitt. I can't remember. I know Miami left the Big East for the ACC in 2005, but you had, Syracuse and all those. This like when the Big East used to get a BCS bowl bid, South Florida was one of those teams that would compete for a BCS spot. So I wouldn't say historically I'm not surprised, but as of recent, I kind of am, especially with the Byron Brown situation. You would think Florida kind of would have jumped on them early, kind of built like a 14 to 17 point lead and just kind of, hey, we're just going to play defense. Even when he comes back, we're just going to cruise control it, not give this guy many opportunities to go down this field and beat us. But hey, he came back. He made the necessary plays. Florida also did some things that they shouldn't have done. Like I called it out. It's 3rd and 8. Instead of just trying to kill some time, knock time off the clock, they elect to throw it deep. Almost made the play. Give him credit, almost made the play, but almost doesn't work. And then you had a guy get a 15-yard penalty and get himself tossed out of the game as well. So we've seen that from Florida, even when the damn other days when they got through the cleat. So in late game situations, I don't know what it is with the Gators. But like I said, Billy Napier was pretty much coming into the season on the hot seat. And now it's that seat burning. And the day's not going to get any better with the 3 games. They got a bye week. They got the 2 games, LSU, Miami, on the road, bye week, and then Texas. So that little stretch, like I said, if they don't split, if Billy Napier does not split, I don't think he makes it past that bye week. So that's all I got. I know we'll let Finn jump in on that one as well. So
I caught the fourth quarter of that game. The thing that I noticed is once Florida started messing up, and it got deeper and deeper into the fourth quarter, and it got close to the end, I noticed that South Florida had all of the momentum and energy. That last, I think that drive when they took the lead, yeah, that was that last drive. The closer they got, the more energy they got. And of course, on the Florida side, they were looking like, oh, how can we do what can we do to stop it? They was playing on their heels that whole drive. And South Florida, they just had the momentum, kept going, taking their time. Then they kicked the field goal with the 3 seconds left, and they won the game. So in that fourth quarter, they literally had all of the momentum, and they played with a lot of energy that Florida could not match.
I mean, I ain't really got too much, but I
Yeah,
said what I said. But yeah, like I said, they play with the food. That's okay. This gonna get cut out because we kind of had a blank pause. And then another, I don't think we highlighted this team, if I'm not mistaken, coming out of the Big 12. Mississippi State. I didn't say it out loud, but Mississippi State was one of my sleeper SEC teams. Not to make the SEC championship, that's still a long shot. But as far as to give teams a run for their money in the SEC, I think they can bounce back and win at least 7 or 8 games this year. Shout out to the Biscuits, but they go on to beat the Arizona State Sun Devils, a college football playoff team from last season. Basically with some late game heroics. Arizona State kicks a field goal to go out by 3 points, and then Mississippi State goes right down there and responds with a touchdown. I don't know why we're running man coverage late, but hey, in a late game situation like that, but hey, they did it, and Mississippi State comes out the victor. What do we see as far as a Mississippi State Bulldog team bringing in one for the SEC as far as upsets goes, not just a SEC team being upset 2 weekends in a row.
I'm just grateful that they got the win. I mean, I feel like it's always, whatever with a team that was in the playoffs last year. Because it's always the same thing, playoff teams. It's just like playoff teams in college are just like playoff teams in the pros. They are very veteran heavy, and typically they are full of people that are either on the last year of their contract or about to leave anyway. And so Arizona State having to replace some big pieces of that playoff team. Scatterboo to be the most notable name. That's never easy, and I'm sure Arizona State trying to find their rhythm. But shout out to the home team for coming away with a SEC upset victory on the road, helping their SEC sweet mate, whatever,
constituents, counterparts.
So helping us move up. So that helped out that we went up to we were able to move up a little bit. So any bit of help that we can get, we'll take it.
I haven't been really keeping up with those two teams. Mississippi State, I don't see them doing much this year, even though they upset it. Arizona State, who's really not going to be relevant. So that's my take on it.
All right. Let me say this, but I ain't mad at you, but and then the biggest game of the game of the weekend, Michigan versus Oklahoma. Michigan year 2 post Harbaugh. Oklahoma trying to recreate, rewrite their offense as far as recreating identity with their offense, and match the intensity with the defense. Beats Michigan 24-13 in a low scoring affair, defensive game. We got that Raphael echo going on. But how do we feel about the Oklahoma Sooners, or this Michigan team pretty much going to be the same as last year's team, even with Bryce Underwood as their quarterback? So basically, am I saying this is going to be a win that's like, hey, this is impressive down the line, or Michigan fell off once again, but they managed to beat Ohio State? Is that that's what I'm pretty much getting to?
It's still early. Oklahoma, I watched some of their game. They came out with a lot of intensity, especially on defense. It was one play. They were in a 3-by-1 set. It was a bubble screen that was thrown out to Justice Hayes. The corner literally just ran past all 2 to 3 wide receivers and just knocked Justice Hayes out. There was another play. Well, there were plays where they were swarming to the ball. Eventually, they were running it, throwing it up. What's the guy's name? Number 4, Burke. Burks put on a clinic against Michigan. Far as, do you think Michigan, are they for real? Are they pretenders? It's early. It's just week 2. Oklahoma might just have gotten that better. We don't know. But I still say that it's too early to determine if they're for real or not. And that goes for Oklahoma too.
As far as Oklahoma and Michigan goes, if you flip flop our schedule with Michigan from week 1 to week 2, that's basically what just happened. You see your new starter comfortable in one game, and you see him completely uncomfortable in another game. And I think that's something just like with Michigan that, with Michigan, we'll figure out, just like Alabama, how to make their starter more comfortable, how to make somebody that hasn't been in situations like this comfortable. Because that game was in Oklahoma, right? I didn't see that game at all. Yeah. So, it's touche to Ty Simpson having to start his career in Florida State, such as Bryce Underwood starting his first real game in Oklahoma. It's not the easiest environment to go into. We've seen a number. We just saw Alabama walk into Oklahoma last year and come away with the loss. So not an easy environment. Definitely a football school, football state, football city. So you expect a big game like that with some. I think they have a little more veteran leadership than, and they still have a new starter too over there as well. But they have somebody that has a little more experience than Bryce Underwood does overall. And I don't know if y'all saw the clip or not, but there's a little bit of a argument on the sideline with Bryce Underwood and one of our
And
former
Justice
players.
Haynes. And Justice Haynes, I saw it.
And I saw the joke that was tagged with that this is, what one of the coaches paid for. Like, this is 2 of his investments. He paid for these 2 guys to come to the school, and they're on the sideline arguing. Sometimes it's just things that money can't fix, and chemistry, time and understanding how to handle adversity. That's just something that you can't. You can pay for talent, but you can't pay for that talent to put in the work to be able to go out there and perform in stages like that. So, good win for Oklahoma. Of course, that's going to be one of those resume builder wins early in the season. You go ahead and beat up on a ranked team. You'll be able to look back at that game, kind of like how Texas had their win over us in Tuscaloosa. That's a resume building win. That's one of those wins that when you go back, you say, hey, we beat so-and-so in week 2. Alabama was a completely different team after that, which helped Texas' resume that year. Otherwise said, if Michigan goes on to run the table, they beat Indiana, Ohio State, Oregon, Penn State, whoever the case may be that's on their schedule. If they can beat any of those teams and not come away with another loss, it'd be great. At the same time, I really don't see it. They still got a freshman quarterback. I think the struggles that we saw in Bryce yesterday is something that we're going to continue to see over the rest of the season. Cracks in the foundation were shown.
Most definitely. And still keeping it Oklahoma. This team has kind of fell out of the spotlight because I think the head coach is more stuck in his ways than Dabo Swinney. Oklahoma State with a straight just pushed in 69-3. All I'm just keep it brief with this. Is it time to move away from Mike Gundy? Because last season they came in, I think they were ranked going into the preseason last season, had a terrible season last season. And then you follow up this season with a week 2 thrashing to Oregon. And like I said, he's a coach that has been very critical as well of money, basically Moneyball. He talked about how Oregon basically spending their money on football. He called out Texas and Oklahoma for leaving the Big 12 for the SEC because of money. So, like I said, I think he's more, like I say, he's more in his ways than Dabo Swinney. And he's been at Oklahoma State now this is his 21st season. So, is it time, or has it been time, like overdue, for Oklahoma State to kind of just move in a different direction and maybe find one of these younger coaches to resurrect their program and bring them back into like some type of relevancy?
They'll fall off a cliff for 15 years if they do that. That's just my opinion.
Who really want to coach there? To be honest.
Yeah, because you're not going to win the in-state because of Oklahoma with the SEC. Like I said, you're shining with a school like that. The best thing you can do is take that Florida State approach, rebuild through the portal, find a young coach, a young-minded coach that can relate to the players more. Because Mike Gundy is a man that's pretty much like I want to say pushing 60 or maybe in his 60s. So it's one of these situations. I'm gonna just say it's time for new blood. Mike Gundy's not a bad coach, you know what I'm saying? He's from this Oklahoma. He's from like OKC area, if I'm not mistaken. And he was the offensive coordinator for Les Miles before Les Miles took the LSU job. So it's like I said, he has continuity there. He's been there for a while, but as you've seen, some of his best years was when he had Dez Bryant, Justin Blackman, Brandon Whedon. Those years, like I want to say at least that from that 2009 to I'll say 2015-16 run in that time frame, Oklahoma State was and they also lost to Kane Womack. And when Kane Womack was at South Alabama, they lost to Central Michigan in the past. Like I said, I think it's time to move on from Mike Gundy because he's worse than Dabo as far as not wanting to adapt. And as you can see, when you don't adapt, you get results like you get yesterday. You get beat 69-3. You get blew out to Colorado. Colorado were only two players that we know of that are now in the NFL. You get beat to sleep by Colorado Buffaloes team because you have no talent, and your best talent was your running back, who was only a 7th round pick this past draft, in Ollie Gordon. So
Yeah, they gonna have to start cutting that check. They gonna have to start paying.
Yeah. So that's, like I said, I just wanted to kind of gloss over that. And speaking of, I don't really necessarily say I was on the Clemson hype train, but I did say I did pick them to beat LSU. They lost. Now they had another struggle win, I guess you could say, against a Troy Trojan's team, who's used to be like a South Florida from back in the day. You don't want to schedule this team because this team could probably come in and beat you. We see they beat LSU that time on their homecoming, so they've done this in the past. And so, what are we looking like? I would say it's a power shifted. Does it seem like this is Florida State's conference to lose now, or is it still Miami or Florida State's conference to lose as far as the ACC?
You won't know until they play each other. I think whoever wins that game, that's who conference it is. But Clemson putting on tape, he look too promising right
and
now.
They actually slipped in the rankings as well. I think they dropped right outside the top 10 or whatever.
If Florida State go out there and handle business with Virginia, well, whoever they play, then Miami, it's theirs to lose.
But we've seen this with FSU. Can we really trust them? Because everybody can have a good 1 year, but can you consistently do this? And I know it's kind of early to stay there right now because, like I said, we're only 2 weeks into the season. But we've seen Florida State. I feel like even if they didn't get snubbed from the playoffs, they were not making it past the semifinal round. I just think the teams were that much better than them. A Michigan team was better than them. Texas and Washington, they were much better than them. So I still think that they probably wouldn't have got toe out the frame like they did, you know what I'm saying? But they still would have lost. And then go into 2024 and go 2-10. So can Florida State be trusted to have a winning season and follow it up with another winning season versus they go all in on 1 year like Dre was mentioning with the NFL teams, guys on their way out the door, guys on their last contract, and then come back and follow it up and have a dud of a season? Can we trust Florida State to basically have some type of stability?
Well, I hope they go all the way this year because we lost to them. That'll make that loss good, and we went out. So yeah, I hope they do what they did that year they was in the playoffs and then fall off. I really do hope they do that because if Bama wins out and they win out, that's a quality loss, and it was on the road. So yeah, I hope they do win out. Now, are they gonna do the same thing next year? I doubt it because quarterback be gone there, have to rebuild again. But I really do hope that they go out, just go all out this year, make it to the SEC championship, do all that. They'll make Alabama look good, and Bama just do what they do, just go 1-0 up until January. So yeah, I hope they do it.
Okay.
Now, if Bama go out there and lose another game, then that's it.
That's why I told you 1-0 mindset. Alabama.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. But as far as we'll see. It's still kind of early. But
Don't sleep on Gus.
yeah, when Gus ain't got to do nothing but call plays, yeah, he's one to be reckoned with. Where he just got to call plays. But taking it back to Alabama, who are you guys' shining stars from last night's game? I don't want to hear nothing about no damn Ty Simpson. You know, that's a gimme answer. Anybody can pick that. I'll live with that. We get one for offense and one for defense.
Go Bernard on offense.
Justin Jefferson on defense. Justin Jefferson was all over the field yesterday.
And Bernard is playing like a senior.
Yeah.
Like a leader as well, too. So
yeah.
He's not making any stupid decisions on the field. Throwing him the ball, he catching it, he making plays. And that's what a receiver wasn't supposed to do, so.
I'm going to go, because I've seen this from Bernard before. So I'm gonna go Kevin Riley. I'm gonna go with some young guys, and I'm gonna go Dre Kirkpatrick Jr. Because, like I said, even though Dre Kirkpatrick got hit with that, Dre Jr. got hit with that targeter. Like I said, just to still see some fire out of a team that's up by 1,000,000 points, you love to see that. That's like that's vintage Bama football. And then as far as Kevin Riley, like I said, Kevin Riley was out there looking like a baby jam, catching the passes out the backfield on the rail route and all that. The way he bouncing through the lane, running the rock. So that's what I'm gonna go. Kevin Riley and Dre Kirkpatrick Jr. is my shining stars.
I can live with Dre Kirkpatrick intensity, going out there getting the target. I can live with that. You doing something other than just jogging around, hoping somebody make the play. I can live with that.
Yeah. Coach Finn over here fired up. You know what I'm saying? But
that's the truth. That's what we used to. We used to folks getting hit, get knocked out the game, folks get mad, want to fight on the sideline. Even making TikTok, jogging, hoping somebody else make the play.
Just like that's what AJ McCarron was basically saying. Like he was just
We need to make fighting on the sideline. Hey, y'all calm down. I can deal with you being out for a half or hitting somebody. I can live with that.
Who you got, Dre? I know you said Jay Jefferson as far as well, you was basically echoing what, but who do you got?
Well, I mean, my other guy on offense was Horton. Horton made some very athletic plays. That's what I was talking about earlier when I was saying like a lot of our play calling. Like they threw it to Horton a couple times on 0-yard routes, and he was, weaving in and out of traffic. And there was a lot of times, and I'll tell you something else. Seeing him in person, seeing him out wide by himself, he looks like a threat to go one-on-one every time. And I know Jeremy is, he's a go-to, and that's gonna forever that's gonna stick this year. And I like that that a veteran is stepping up and helping his new quarterback get comfortable. But Horton was my other guy that I like watching yesterday. He was somebody he ran a lot of good crispy routes. He made plays when it was time to make plays, and I mean I think at some point we'll call his number, and he'll be ready to go. So.
I will say he's gonna be a sleeper for one of these marquee SEC games. He's gonna be due for a big game. I got that Auburn hat in the background on the Alabama podcast. That's crazy. That means it is time
to Georgia.
That means it is time to. I think the running game is gonna be the big factor versus Georgia.
Once Rams come back, you're gonna see a big difference in the outfit.
But because you got to think when we played, we got up 30-0 on Georgia last year or whatever, 30-7. They still had to account for the run game in Miro's legs. Now we are in a situation to, like, what are you going to do? You going to run one safety deep and cover one and cover three everything and let Ty pick you to pieces? Or are you going to, and then as far as trying to stop the run, or are you going to sit two safeties high and then have a light box and then just get gas through the run game? So that is ladies and gentlemen, that is the importance of having a legit dual threat or a legit pocket passer at quarterback, because now you gotta, this is what we got. That's a nightmare to game plan. Like when Tua was here, that's a nightmare to game plan for, because if you try to just, hey, we still gonna play Alabama for the run because we know they still a run first school. Now you about to get picked to pieces by Tua. But if you sit here and try to play the pass, we still got these bell cows at running back that can just run you up and down the field. So that is the important. That is what we've been trying to preach the last 2 years with my man's at QB, and we didn't have that. And now I feel like we got that with any of those three quarterbacks that and we can just throw out there. Because there were some people saying already, like, hey, y'all think Keelan better than Miro off of one drive. And when he hit that window, he hit the guy in the window between the on the rope. I was like, oh, hey, hold on now.
Miro ain't making that throw.
Yeah, but it's still kind of
Yeah, he still got a long way to go though.
Yeah, so it's stuff like that. We didn't see that. Like we didn't see those type of throws. We didn't see guys looking off one receiver going to the next. We didn't see that the last 2 years. And not to just rag on Miro, but the facts are the facts. The tape is out there. It was so many plays. I mean, it was plays left on the field with Ty Simpson at Florida State last weekend, but we got 2 years worth of tape of plays being left on the field with Jalen Miro at quarterback. So
him running back past the line of scrimmage, stepping back, then throwing the ball. Like, come on, man.
Like I said, but when he really lost me, when he tried to trip somebody. That's when he really lost me. And after that, I was like, I can't do this no more. I was officially like, nah, bro. I can't because I can't defend that. That's not football.
Oklahoma last year.
Yes, I can't defend nothing like that. You out here with pads and a helmet on, and you trying to trip a man. Like, how am I supposed to defend that?
He couldn't tell.
Like, what are you saying in the film room when you run in the film and you got to look at that on film? Like, what do you say to that? So it's stuff like that though. But
they probably played in slow motion and everything.
Just, look at him, coach. Look at him, coach. Look at him, coach. But yeah, it's just stuff like that, man. But like overall, it's an A+ night. I know last week I said my panic was at a 3 as far as the panic meter goes. I'm gonna drop it down to a 2, so I'm still not as worried. But I'm gonna just keep it at a 2, and it's gonna go down frequently. But I'm at a 2. And anybody got any closing remarks that they want to add before we get up out of here?
Yeah, I want to shout out my alma mater, Alabama State University, going on the road, basically dominating Southern 30-7. I think if our quarterback stays healthy, we have a legit shot to win the SWAC. By us beating Southern, we usually struggle with Southern, either Southern or Jackson. We beat Southern. Now, if we can run the table, then beat Jackson, then Alcorn, I think we can go to the SWAC and win it. So.
Yeah, because I remember one of them games. I was there when you was still in school when y'all played Southern. That receiver had a career day on y'all. That receiver could have got drafted off that. That receiver could have got drafted off that game.
He was a white boy too. Mike Jones.
But so he was a minority. But so what about you, Dre? You got any closing remarks? Shout out to the AHSAA, as all my referees out there. But no, seriously though, you got anything that you want to?
Nah, man. Roll Tide. I was just happy to be there last night, man. It's the atmosphere still is the atmosphere. It wasn't quite. I think it was probably right at 100,000. It wasn't at capacity, but a great atmosphere. I talked last week about there being rumbles and murmurs in the crowd. There was nothing. There was nothing but peace and happiness. There wasn't even really a lot to talk about last week. I think everybody just wants to take play better, and I hope that's what's gonna happen. So,
I think that part of the fan base, honestly, like that, all that. I think those are just the fans that didn't get to see what we saw in the 2000s.
Them wasn't the real fans.
Yeah, those are the fans that
they ain't see Bama play on Jefferson.
They ain't even. Yeah, 11 o'clock. They ain't even like the early years of the dynasty, the 2007 to 2009 part of the dynasty. They really didn't even. They came probably when after Alabama won the second and third championship. That's when they started popping.
Yeah, 2020. So, yeah. That's what they came.
Yeah. So a lot of them they don't know one time for John B. So but they don't know what we saw, like when the Bama games just used to be background noise. So
folks ain't even watch the game. They say the Alabama win.
We playing Little League. We used to play Little League sports during that time frame in the Mike Schuler days. We had our own games to go to. We weren't even caring
We
about
ain't
no
watch the
Alabama
guys.
games. So those are not those fans that I know, and they know it's still a process. You even had a guy call. I watched a YouTube video. A guy basically defended the Coach DeBoer. So, but my thing with him is he be making that face, like he be making that face that be having me like, bro, hey, you got me a little worried, Coach. You good? But it's the same face no matter what. It's like Nick Saban. It's like the same face. No matter if we losing or we winning by 100 million points. He just had that look like he just frantic. Like, what's going on, Coach? But one thing I liked about Coach Saban, though, like when players was all these penalties, when we up 49-0 or something like that, oh, he fired up. Because, like, what are y'all doing? Like, no, don't let up now. But we need to see that from Coach DeBoer. Maybe he just need a couple shots of some scotch or something. I don't know what he like to drink. I don't know if he's a drinking man. He just need to loosen up. And then like, all right, guys, this is what we gonna do. But thank y'all guys for tuning in for another fantastic episode of The Elephant in the Room. We will be back later this week to break down week 3 of college football and give our predictions as well. And as they say, roll, damn, tide, and we out.